In the previous episode, I visited the Mascaline Islands at the southern end of Malakula Island and then Port Sandwich on Malakula itself. Here I sail northeast to the long thin island of Pentecost and then northwest to Luganville on Espiritu-Santo Island. My first objective was Homo Bay and the village of Latap near the southwest corner of Pentecost. It's Thursday morning, I think it's the 14th of June, and I have made an early start, got going at first light, 5:30, 6 o'clock now, we're close to, 5:45, there's clouds, so sun won't appear till a bit after 6, but it is absolutely flat. This is in Port Sandwich. And I imagine there'll be some rolling on the ocean, but otherwise it's going to be flat. Hopefully later in the day a breeze will come up. So we need to go past Ambrum Island there. That's where Lon Wal was with the festival. Oh, the backwards just by. And on to an island beyond it called Pentecost to do a tour on Friday, tomorrow, of the land diving. This should be interesting. There are 3 boats anchored here. You can just see their anchor lights. It's Amali or Amali, Liana, both catamarans, and Bushranger, all Australian boats. And they have anchored close to the village rather than over in the normal sailboat anchorage. Here's the chart above the noise of the engine. We're coming out of Port Sandwich. We're doing 4.95 knots at 1,500 RPM. And we have a total of 15 miles to go to the corner of Ambrum and then another 15 miles to Pentecost. So it's going to be a long day of motoring because it's dead flat. Well, it's no fun motoring, but you do get a very pretty dawn. Well, it is utterly calm. An almost flat sea, some residual swell. Can't even see Pentecost, it's straight ahead. Here's Ambrum. Lon Wal, where we were the other day for the festival. It's this little cove, bay, whatever here. And then there's a place called Dip Point at the end there. Look at the clouds reflected here in the water. Wow. It's beautiful, but just have to motor. An interesting little experiment, I think, here. About halfway to Pentecost Island and utterly becalmed behind Ambrum Island here, and I'm idling the engine at 900 RPM and we're doing 2.7, 2.8, 2.6, probably averaging 2.7, and the rest of the time I had the engine at 1,600, so an additional 700 RPM, and that got us to 4.7, 4.6, 4.8. So gaining 2 knots with 700 RPM additional. That's pretty interesting. You could just idle along if you were patient enough. Well, I'm going to go for a swim. I put the rope over, nice floaty polypropylene tow rope, and not sure whether 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8 knots I can hold on. So I'm going to turn the engine off first and then we'll experiment. Should be fun. Hot as hell. Well, it's taken 9 hours of motoring at 4 to 5 knots to get here. We bypassed Ambrum back there with its active volcano. Hell of a hike to get up there though. And this is Pentecost Island, a long thin island, way up there. There's 3 boats already here, and so hopefully between the set of us we can get an excursion to the land jumping business somewhere up in the hinterland of the island. So there's a little village here with a bunch of pangas, and it extends all the way over here. There's one of the little local cargo ships, San Rafael. I'm a little surprised it's not more crowded than that. It's going to give me a nice way. Actually, there's 4 boats here already. This is Arona 1. And here's one of the transports, cargo transports. The front end loading system. Looks like they're going to the next village along here, because otherwise they would be farther offshore. Now, I'm not sure who these 2 catamarans are. I may have met them before, I have to see more closely. And up ahead here is, where are they? Tin Lizzie is over here, so I'll anchor somewhere between the Tin Lizzie and the catamarans. Oh, a very familiar cargo ship just pulled in. It's just after sunset. This is the one that I was anchored right next to in Lanakau when I first arrived in Vanuatu. Not even anchoring here, they're just offloading cargo into tenders, getting it to shore. Enjoy these pictures of the custom village of Latap while I explain my phone stupidity. We were driven up a winding road into the hills to this village, where we watched the land diving itself. After which, Christoph and I went for a swim in a river near the bottom village, and I forgot I had my iPhone SE in my swimsuit pocket and got it wet enough that it died. This is the second phone I've killed. The first cost me all the photos and videos from my initial crossing of the Pacific from Panama to French Polynesia. So I now have a supposedly waterproof iPhone 14, and these pictures from the land diving are courtesy of Christoph on Tin Lizzie. Thanks, Christoph. For this occasion, the women of the village dressed only in grass skirts, while the men wore only a belt and penis shield or namba. Even the little girls wore grass skirts, while the boys showed us how they would dive. The diving structure is built on the skeleton of a sturdy tree on a steep hillside. It consists of many branches bound together with bark strips, with 5 diving platforms. The straightening of the lianas bound to the diver's ankles, the designed breaking of the platform, and the soft turned over ground of the landing area combined to prevent serious injury to the divers, but all hit the land at the end. Here the chief of the village explains how it works to some local tourists, while the men prepare the soft landing spot and the lianas for the first diver, who was a teenager diving off the lowest platform. The whole procedure takes a long time, accompanied by dancing and chanting by the women of the village behind the platform, and ceremonial actions by the diver as he prepares to dive. Of course, the whole dive takes a second or 2, and Christoph got these good shots of it, and at the end the somewhat stunned diver is picked up by the men at the bottom, seemingly none the worse for the experience, and to great applause. The last diver from the top platform was an adult, and as the lianas came taut they snapped, but he was unhurt and walked away from the experience. Afterwards I climbed the tower, followed by Paul, a French sailor on a trimaran, which gave a whole new appreciation for the bravery of the divers. While now entirely a performance for tourists, having lost all of its historical and cultural significance, it was still a remarkably real and brave performance by these young men at this remarkable village. After the disastrous loss of my iPhone SE, I left that evening to sail overnight to the town of Luganville at the southwest corner of the largest island of Espiritu-Santo to check out of Vanuatu. Saturday the 15th, I've made it to Luganville. Overnight sail from over in Pentecost Island. It's a resort here. We're anchored next to it. And up there's a town main town and the wharf. It's where I have to go to check out. Oops, can't see that. So a super yacht there and the Helper 1 boat turns out to be a medical and emergency logistics supply boat. There's the entrance where we came in. Islands on the other side. And we're going to go out. Can't see the entrance. There's a narrow exit there to go out on Monday. The beachfront resort is cruiser friendly, even providing hitching posts for dinghies at their beach, but sadly was completely empty because of the Air Vanuatu bankruptcy. The resort and anchorage are a little way out of town, requiring a taxi ride in. When I arrived, this large Outremer catamaran called Traverse was there, and it turned out to be Mike Golding and his wife Andrea and 2 crew. Mike is a famous English IMOCA skipper who competed 4 times in the Vendée Globe race and has circumnavigated several more times, and was now cruising from New Zealand to France. I would meet them again in Darwin on the way to Cape Town. Check out his page on Wikipedia. Sunday the 16th. It's a grey day, thankfully actually, because otherwise it would be stinking hot. Very light breeze out of the southeast, and a cruise ship came in this morning, so no activities available in town. No cars, no bikes, no nothing. So just working on the boat, planning to leave tomorrow. It's the entrance we came in. Here is Helper 1, which was on the dock but had to move for the cruise ship. It turns out it is a medical response, an emergency response vessel. And there was a super yacht at the dock, also had to move, and just to the right of it you can barely see Mike Golding's boat, Traverse, a huge big Outremer 51. They're headed out where I'm going to go tomorrow morning, but they're going straight to the Torres Strait and to Darwin, whereas I'm going to go to hopefully Townsville and then Cairns. And on the shore, here's the landing craft that's been here for a while, so they must be working on it. Here's the resort that is very hospitable to cruisers, which is very nice of them. Beachfront resort. There's almost nobody at it as far as I can tell. And right next to it, somehow this cargo ship was run up. Maybe it's a landing craft type as well. Run up all the way on the beach, and these guys are working on fixing it. Amazing. Here is the cargo boat being repaired on the beach. After a lovely still dawn, I made my way into town to check out at the immigration office and found these signs in Pidgin interesting to see their translation. Back at the deserted resort, and after a brief lunch and storing of all the fresh fruit I bought, I set sail for Australia. In the next episode, I sailed to Il Huon, an isolated reef system at the north end of New Caledonia.